In 52 BC, one Roman general trapped 80,000 enemy warriors inside a fortress, then somehow ended up trapped himself, sandwiched between two armies, with nowhere left to run. This is the battle that decided the fate of Rome. But Caesar doesn't attack. He does something far more ruthless. He orders his legions to build a wall, not just any wall, a siege wall 16 kilometers long, encircling the entire fortress of Alesia. No food in, no one out. If it closes, 80,000 Gauls starve behind their own ramparts, without Rome losing a single soldier in open battle. From the high walls of Alesia, Vercingetorix watches the Roman engineers at work and understands exactly what that wall means for his people. He orders his cavalry to break out immediately, before the ring can close. What follows is one of the largest cavalry engagements of the entire Gallic wars. Thousands of horsemen crashing across the open plain in front of Alesia. For a moment, the Roman work parties scatter in chaos. Then Caesar releases his Germanic cavalry, battle-hardened mercenary riders held in reserve for exactly this moment, and the Gallic charge collapses into a rout. Vercingetorix pulls what's left of his horsemen back behind the walls. That night, he makes the only move left to him. He sends riders out through the gaps in the unfinished Roman lines, carrying a single message to every tribe in Gaul: send everything you have, or watch Gaul fall for good. Most of the messengers don't make it past the wall. A handful slip through in the darkness and disappear into the hills. Inside Alesia, 80,000 warriors and the ordinary families of the town now share grain stockpiled for exactly 1 month. It's a race against the calendar, and nobody in that fortress knows how far away help really is. When word of the relief call reaches the Roman camp, Julius Caesar makes a decision that still stuns military historians today. He doesn't lift the siege. He doesn't retreat to open ground where his legions have the advantage. Instead, he orders a second wall built, this one 21 kilometers long, facing outward, wrapped entirely around the first. An army laying siege to a city is about to besiege itself. Tens of thousands of Roman legionaries spend weeks cutting timber, digging trenches, and raising towers, transforming the entire position into one of the most sophisticated fortifications in ancient military history. Watchtowers rise every few hundred feet. Double ditches run the length of both walls. Concealed pits lined with fire-hardened stakes wait beneath the grass, and hidden iron hooks lie buried where cavalry would have to charge. Back inside Alesia, the 1-month grain supply is nearly gone, and there is still no sign of a relief army anywhere on the horizon. The Gallic War Council faces an impossible choice. One chieftain proposes something almost unthinkable: feeding the warriors on the bodies of the elderly, those too old to fight. Vercingetorix refuses. What the council decides instead is barely any kinder. Every woman, every child, every old man in Alesia is marched out of the gates and left in the open ground between the two Roman walls, told that Rome has agreed to let them pass through safely. It is a complete lie. No one has spoken to Caesar. And Caesar, watching from the Roman lines, gives no order to let them through in either direction. The families of Alesia are trapped in the no-man's land between two armies, begging both sides for mercy, for slavery, for anything but this. Neither side moves. For days, they starve in full view of both Roman legionaries and their own warriors on the walls. Every morning, Vercingetorix scans the horizon for dust, for banners, for any sign that Gaul is coming to save its own king. Every morning, there is nothing. Weeks pass this way. Inside Alesia, the same warriors who sent their families outside the walls to starve are now starving themselves. Some begin to argue for surrender. Vercingetorix refuses to give up hope, and then, finally, the horizon answers him. A distant roar rolls across the hills. Horns, thousands of voices. On the Roman side, scouts race back into camp with a number that changes everything. A massive Gallic relief army has arrived, and by some ancient estimates, it numbers in the hundreds of thousands. Modern historians believe the true figure was considerably lower, but the strategic disaster for Rome is real either way. Julius Caesar and roughly 50,000 legionaries are now trapped between two Gallic forces, with no line of retreat if either wall breaks at any single point. Command of the relief army falls to Vercingetorix, cousin to the trapped king. His first move is a direct cavalry assault to test the Roman defenses, and it walks straight into the hidden stake pits and buried hooks the legions spent weeks preparing. Horses go down, riders are impaled before they ever reach the trench line. From inside Alesia, Vercingetorix sees his rescue finally arrive and throws everything he has left at the inner wall in support. For the first time in the entire siege, Roman soldiers are fighting a two-front battle on the same afternoon. The inner wall against Vercingetorix, the outer wall against the relief army, back to back, with nowhere to retreat between them. Against overwhelming numbers, both Gallic assaults fail. Caesar's cavalry sweeps the plain clear once again, but the math of the battle hasn't changed. Rome is still outnumbered many times over, and the relief commander already knows exactly what went wrong. That night, the entire Gallic camp becomes a war factory. Thousands of men fell trees, lash together ladders, forge grappling hooks, and bundle brush to fill the Roman trenches. When the second assault comes, it comes after dark and in complete silence, until tens of thousands of warriors rise out of the darkness at once and slam ladders against the Roman palisade in dozens of places simultaneously. Roman officers strip quiet sectors of the wall bare just to hold the breaking points. Artillery crews and slingers fire blind into the night, aiming purely at sound, and in total darkness, the hidden traps that failed to stop the daylight assault become devastating. Hearing the battle erupt, Vercingetorix launches a second attack from inside Alesia, but with no way to coordinate timing between the two Gallic forces. His warriors lose critical hours, filling the Roman trenches, and by the time they reach the wall, dawn is already breaking and the outer assault is already collapsing. A second failed assault, but inside the Gallic camp, this retreat isn't defeat, it's reconnaissance. For days, scouts and local guides study every kilometer of the Roman fortifications, searching for the one place the wall doesn't fully close, and they find it. In the northern hills, the terrain is so broken that the Roman line was forced to leave a weak seam, with an exposed Roman camp sitting on a vulnerable slope above it. Vercingetorix selects 60,000 of his best fighters and marches them out under cover of night, hiding the entire force behind a ridge overlooking the northern camp. At midday, he launches the plan that could end the siege in an afternoon. A full-strength assault hits the entire length of the outer Roman wall at once, pinning every single reserve Caesar has, while the hidden 60,000 pour down onto the exposed northern camp from above, and Vercingetorix throws everything he has left at the inner wall at the exact same moment. Julius Caesar rides the length of his own lines personally, feeding his last reserves into whichever section is closest to collapse. Every cohort he has is now committed somewhere along 21 kilometers of wall. There is nothing held back anywhere. Then the north breaks. With the situation collapsing, Caesar makes the decision that historians still point to as the defining moment of his career. He strips together his last available cavalry squadrons personally, slips out through a quiet gate on the far side of the entire position, and rides wide around the hills to hit the northern breakthrough from behind, completely unseen. When his cavalry finally appears, he makes sure every Gallic warrior on that field can see exactly who is leading the charge. The scarlet cloak of a Roman general, unmistakable across the entire battlefield. Trapped now between the broken wall behind them and Roman cavalry in front, the northern assault collapses entirely. Their forward camp falls within the hour. By nightfall, panic spreads through the entire Gallic relief army, and it simply dissolves, tribe by tribe, each contingent abandoning the field and slipping away into the darkness toward home. On the inner wall, what remains of Vercingetorix's assault is pushed back inside Alesia. From the ramparts of his own fortress, the Gallic king watches his last hope of rescue scatter across the plain and understands, in that moment, that no one is ever coming again. The following morning, the gates of Alesia open. Vercingetorix surrenders. He will spend years as a prisoner of Rome before his execution, but his role in this story ends at those gates. Julius Caesar has just defeated 2 Gallic armies that outnumbered his own legions many times over, and in doing so, he becomes the single most powerful man in the entire Roman world. And that is exactly the problem, because back in Rome, that kind of power terrifies the Senate, and one man in particular, once Caesar's closest ally, now his most dangerous rival. What Julius Caesar does next won't just finish the conquest of Gaul, it will end the Roman Republic itself.